All right. Hopefully you guys have been patient. We apologize for the technical difficulties. There's been some updates to our streaming software and it's caused confusion and chaos just like the crypto markets, but we are back. If you see in the chat, we are. And you can confirm in the chat if you can hear us, that would be great. If you're watching
Max,
this
did you Brian, sorry for interrupting. Max, did you share the link to the new stream in the old chat?
I'll upgrade the link in
in the comment, because I still see the comment. Right, it says live event is over, chat is no longer available. Okay, let's hope they will find the way.
Good. Skype itself is getting audio. We know that. I can check it right now. It works for me. I hear myself. Yeah, okay. Well, I think our live stream is technically working. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for the patience. I see that there are a few in here, so we appreciate the loyalty to our stream. And of course, we welcome you to drop any questions and comments freely about the markets. We apologize for the technical difficulties. Sometimes software gets upgraded whether we like it or not, and it causes complications, but we are back. As far as I know, if any of you at any time cannot hear our audio or the stream freezes, drop that information for us in the chat and we'll get it fixed for you right away. In the meantime, we'll kind of start from the top here. We'll go a little after the hour, of course, to make up for the time. I know most of you watching this are watching on replay anyways, so as far as you're concerned, there was no delay. You're watching from the beginning now. So to start off, I want to say hello to our founder, Maxim. As he noted before we found out the audio was having issues, the crypto markets are quite unpredictable at the moment, right, my friend?
Yes. Well, to some degree, they are predictable, but timing, two events should happen, and they're contradictory events. One set of metrics says we are doomed, at least for some coins, to go lower. Another set of metrics say there is a room for FOMO have not been reached. Typical FOMO for, let's say, Bitcoin top haven't been reached. So which one should happen first? This is confusing. Do we go up and then we I do prefer, and I think the last time we've been talking a few weeks ago, better we go down because we've been dragging for too long time. People don't take profit or don't realize profits, and they're too relaxed. And usually market like to punish it. But again, I do prefer, doesn't mean it will happen. Anyway, that's why, yes, it's the moment really hot, really hot. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that there was a likely scenario for prices to drop at least one more time going into the halving. We put out a post a couple days ago actually about how the most likely scenario was one more drop to shake out traders, make them second guess the halving and its impact, and then whales could accumulate one more time. And we'll see on this video that there has been a slight uptick in accumulation just as of the past hour from the time of this recording, which is about 4:22 p.m. UTC right now. We've seen a big drop one more time, where markets have gone back below 70K after being above 71K yesterday. It may not sound like much, but this is proving to be a very key psychological support and resistance level right now, where a lot of panic happens when it goes below, a lot of excitement happens when it goes above. Of course, the all-time high of about 73.7K, depending on the exchange. That's in people's mind and on people's radars right now. We even asked just recently what the most likely new all-time high timing would be. And if I can find the poll, just put it out. This was another poll where we asked when it was at 68.7, whether we would next see 70K or 67K. As is often the case, the crowd got it wrong, and 70K was the winner here. And then we put out a poll just the next day. Here it is. Skipped right by it. So we asked, when will Bitcoin exceed its 73.7K all-time high that occurred back on March 14th? And almost half of people said before the halving. A little under that said before the end of 2024. So if you just focus on these two and ignore the very unpopular opinions of 2025 or beyond or never, you will see that a few more people believe that the halving, that pre-halving will be the time we see an all-time high. That's still on the table, even though we dropped below 70K just now. We're still within, roughly 4% of the all-time high. So the question is the majority going to be right here? Or will it likely come sometime after the halving? We certainly don't believe the answer is going to be never. And we agree that this is probably a pretty unlikely outcome. It'll be after the entire year commences that we see the 73.7K price be breached. But yeah, it does seem that the anticipation is we at least get above 73.7K before the halving. And Maxim, I'm curious on your thoughts on this. I know it's tough to predict, but based on metrics, as we go over them, of course, on the call, do you have any opinions on this question?
Well, here's some provocative train of thoughts. Minority believe we will never make a new high. So what if it is true? We will never see. We saw the high. That's it. Now they're all the way down.
Yep.
And I mean, like really way down to 20, 30K in Bitcoin. How likely everyone on the stream think it can happen? I think most people say unlikely, but this is what market likes to do. We don't believe, and this is going to happen. And there is some setup under which condition it can't happen. Why not? Just take into account, let's say, inflation can be beaten over. So all the talks about rate cuts is the garbage. There are no rate cuts. So market will react very happily to it. I'm happily in opposite side. Everything will go down massively. the pricing we've been seeing so far, and market have been rallying into the expectation of rate cuts. And our emerging data says there are no chance for rate cuts. Inflation is here, and it's we cannot win it. And you never know in an election year what decision will be made. It's really difficult. And then on top of it, escalation of war in Iran against Israel, and maybe in Russian war in Ukraine. And we have very good setup to say, okay, well, market is just precious. So it's not that I say this is the most likely, but need to consider it. You always see, after you shared this result of, well, I remember you mentioned today, but really majority is just a question of time when the all-time high will be broken before or after halving. That's piece of information alone should make you suspicious. Will it happen? But maybe it also can be the way how the question is asked. So maybe, Brian, tomorrow or on the weekend when people have time and reflect, and market have been like under pressure for some time. Now it's a good time to ask the question, do you think we will make a new all-time high? Yeah. Yes or no?
Yeah, just
as
period.
Straight as this. There's pure question. And if it still will be the same 60, 70, 80% say yeah, of course, and others say no, wow, then we're in really dangerous situation. But ask a direct question, and then we'll probably can be available to see sentiment more clear. More clear. Mm.
I would be shocked if more.
Me too, but it would be to the whole portfolio management. I will have to adjust to results of Paul. If it's really, oh gosh, now we'll need to run out of positions.
Yeah,
which I'm not doing yet.
And this, it's a good social experiment too on the timing of when we put out these polls, right? So we put this poll out when Bitcoin was on the rise and had gone back close to 71K.
Correct.
Whereas
correct.
Before, it had just dropped to 68.7, and people were a little more iffy. So people are very, very recency bias oriented, from what I've seen.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we'll talk.
But to stay objective, we will show both sides. There are set of metrics which can reveal bullish potential. There are a set of metrics which can support continued decline. Both exist. Bullish potential actually more mid-term. Bearish potential right now. If aside from bearish perspective, people are not taking seriously current market conditions. They are not taking profits. In Bitcoin, it's very visible. If you show net realized profit loss, they did do it some time ago, but now they stopped. Why? They don't see any danger. It's never good. Or it's rarely good, let's say. Sometimes it can be ignored, but we also see, for instance, Maker, who've been pumping and actually taking kind of risky, could potentially rewarding decisions to accommodate Ether USDE. Still, it's kind of high risk, high reward, and build declining price of Maker. And if you take a metric percentage of daily deposits to total daily activities, it just keep declining too. That's very also not good. So people don't consult at all, even though we make very long and extended bull run. Mm-hmm. Which sometimes exactly what brings you to the state of mind to say, okay, we've been growing so long time. Everything looks so solid. So why should I care? I just wait. It will come up. Yeah. And then the market just push you more and more and more to downsides as you start worrying and you sell the low. And then maybe we can grow and make an all-time high. This is how I read the market now. You just will keep a little bit rallying and then keep crashing again. Rally and keep crashing again. And the more we don't see the signs of panic or worries, the harder it will push down. But the moment we do see worries, like at the last bottom maybe a week ago when we rallied, there were quite some signs, liquidations and also repayments or liquidation of decentralized protocols. It was good, but we don't see it at the moment anymore.
Yeah, I think
so.
and
Take yeah, no, continue.
Of course, yeah. I think the psychology goes far and beyond just what's going on with Bitcoin and the halving next week. There is a ton of people that are kind of urging the markets to just continue going at the same pace that it had been since mid-October when this bull run started, and we're on month 6 now of essentially just gain week after gain week after gain week. You can see even now through all the ranging, Bitcoin is still up 5.3% in the past 7 days, even though it's below 70K again right now. It obviously has been ranging for about a month, but the overall market cap is still going up 1.7%. I think last week it was up again. And even when Bitcoin is flat, you're seeing, meme coins emerge one week, or DeFi, or AI and big data, of course, being a big story of 2024. And there's several emergers here. I mean, we see Athena going on a huge run, up 47%. VeChain, kind of an OG asset, this is up 23%. Toncoin has just entered the top 10. I'm curious how the Cardano community feels about being kicked out of the top 10, being replaced by Toncoin, one of the best performing assets of 2024 thus far. There's a lot of micro stories out there, and we can even look at the watch list performance. I've got these 12 watch lists that I monitor, and I've been updating on our X/Twitter. And meme coins have been one of the better performers over the past week, up 4.5%. Nothing else here is comparing to it. You can see plenty of fall. AI and big data is having a big retrace. Social assets are getting crushed. Layer one's up a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's still, this to me is a bit of a red flag still, Max. I'm seeing that meme coins out of the 12 sectors here is the best performer. That tells me that we're in a pretty speculative stage right now with 1 week to go.
Yes. Yeah, but it can change over weekend, for instance, or at least they're in decline. It's already, it's both good and bad, you can say, but it doesn't mean that necessarily we can turn around when the market is growing and majors or DeFi stop to decline and the memes are the only one who is pumping, then you're really cautious. Now everyone is declining, so we could revert at any given time, as now market seems to be unified and going down. We just need to see some level of concerns, one way or another, yeah. And it can come anytime. I've seen it so many times in the past. You're sitting in front of your desktop monitor, you're not sitting, but you're checking, and don't know, go long position, don't go, keep on, because there is no worries. And then suddenly markets goes up, and there is no clear sign of the worries at the bottom, and just markets start growing, and people don't believe into it. Yeah, this is also possible. If even at the moment I don't think it will be the case. We probably need to experience something additionally, for instance, to Uniswap, maybe something more, or we'll see. Something will happen. Or unfortunately, maybe indeed, this war, I've been hearing the news between Iran and Israel, might something happen. Be a very sad event, but it could be trigger to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of Uniswap too, we put out this post yesterday saying that there was a significant amount of FUD that had been showing after the SEC publicly revealed their warning to Uniswap Labs of their pursuit of potential enforcement action. If you've been a fan of XRP/Ripple for the last couple of years, you're well familiar with this kind of pattern where prices just get hammered and then there's a potential bounce back. And if we take a live look at the time of the posting about 24 hours ago, Uniswap was down.
Actually, yeah, let's check it. I think one of the questions in Telegram channel was about Uniswap, and not in Telegram, in our stream channel before it got dropped. Someone asked about Uniswap. Yeah, let's look into it.
Yeah, so it does look like there hasn't been much of a change yet. I still think this is looking pretty bouncy for Uniswap. And yeah, I mean, we put out this post. Let's just look at the last week. We put out this post 24 hours ago. right around here when it was really plummeting. And it's actually up a tiny bit now. I still think, this social dominance spike, as the SEC news was coming out, of course, the crowd is going to panic sell and the price will go down a bit in the short term. But then you see this huge spike in circulation. If you go back like, let's say 3 months, what do these spikes have in common? Let's look at the chart that I put up yesterday. They all triggered price reversals going back to late January. Huge circulation spike and then a bounce. Huge circulation spike, big bounce. And then we see a big top spike here. This one triggered a bottom. This one was a clear bottom. And the question is this a bottom? I think based on history, the answer is yes. Of course, that depends on Bitcoin being stable and staying afloat and not plummeting to 65 or 60.
Yeah.
But assuming it stays where it's at, this huge social dominance spike, which is clearly related to FUD and negative sentiment, combined with a high circulation spike, pretty good argument that there could be a bounce coming up here.
Yeah. The only kind of portion of salt, how do you say in English? Portion of salt in your sweet soup. I don't know how you how you say it.
Say that again. Portion of salt.
No, a spoon of salt in a tasty sweet soup. Do you have anything like this? Like the general dish is good. Like setup is correct, but there is something which makes the taste different and not so enjoyable. Is the fact that if you look into Telegram channels, crypto native, I don't know. I was checking the communication about in Lobster DAO and some other Russian-speaking channel. They're mostly positive. They say, yeah, it's a good answer because Uniswap founder said, yeah, we're going to find it. And no one is really showing much concern, well, except one Swiss channel, but they're generally concerned about many things. They're very critical thinking, which is good for country, but it's not an indicator. Now, when everyone think, yeah, it's a bad event, but we're going to make it, yeah, like me. Then you see, there needs to be a bit more pain that you start questioning yourself, are you going to make it? The moment you start questioning, okay, then it goes up. So it just might be some time is needed to introduce this pain. Yeah, sometimes this spikes or strong news. Let's say in a behavior analytics, it's always considered to be good news come at the top, terrible news comes at the bottom. Generally correct, with one exception. There are sometimes when a market develops, there are generally good news and generally bad news, and they come in the point of recognition, and it kind of accelerate the trade, which was kind of similar with Uniswap. You see, it was growing, and then on the news, it actually grow even more. So if it's Uniswap, when how much was the top? 16, 18? I don't remember anymore. What was it?
Got up to right about.
Yeah. So, and then it started to decline. Actually, it was declining for some time, but there was no story behind. So there might be, there are cases where story or explanation why it is bad and why it has to decline comes at the very bottom. And there is explanation when it comes in the middle of decline or slightly past the decline. And it's a magic or mastery how you really read the data or sentiment. And that's why reading comments of people, like not being angry with foundation or not doing accusation for Uniswap Foundation saying they knew it and they pumped the coin before they get served this SEC wealth notice. Yeah, this accusation combined with bad news, they definitely indicate of bottom. Now, the lack of indication could be means we can still go lower. Yeah. There are nuances. What I want to say when we analyze any kind of data or metrics, you need to apply each situation is special, can be unique. That's why it's so good to do market analysis. You can be sure that there is not a metric which works all the time. So you always have a chance to outperform if you want, but you always have a chance to make mistake either. It's a very interesting field to be. And in case of Uniswap, we should be open to have a few more days of pain.
Yeah, it's always a little bit after the crowd has a huge reaction. It never seems to be precisely, when the crowd gets euphoric or precisely when they get extremely fearful. And that's exactly why these metrics have so much alpha, because there is a slight delay between when the big reaction comes in and when you can strike and place your, trade that goes against the crowd. And I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin starts to recover back above 70K, then we may see Uniswap being a front runner to begin recovering, assuming the news, of course, doesn't get worse, right? Because there is a legitimate fear that Uniswap will be heavily regulated by the SEC, and that could be a problem. But we saw how that went with XRP, and XRP was not ultimately impacted. The SEC lost their battle, so we'll see. But before we get too much into other altcoins, I do want to make sure we check in on Bitcoin, and I want to start by looking at exactly exactly where we're at with the whale and shark behavior as we go into the final week here of halving. And it looks like we're seeing a bit of an uptick again. I still like, the trajectory that we're on in terms of shark and whale accumulation. They were holding back a little over 2 months ago, 12.98 million in BTC collectively, and now they're up to 13.18. About 194,000 Bitcoin has been accumulated, or about 0.78% of the entire supply in just over 2 months. That's a lot. And I still believe that they are one of the primary reasons that we saw that eventual all-time high, and we're staying at that 70K-ish level right now. There's still a slight concern about how much stable coins have dropped, but as you can see, over the past 2 to 3 weeks or so, USD Coin and Tether, we're starting to see more dry powder going into the shark and whale wallets while Bitcoin is staying high. So that would imply that more fiat is coming in from outside sources, moving into crypto for the anticipation of pushing prices up even further. It doesn't mean it'll be immediate, but going out to about a year, you can see that the long-term trend has just been tons of stable coins going down and swapping for Bitcoin. And now they're all kind of going up together. That's a really good sign that we can be all-time high soon.
That's one of those good signs, yeah.
Yeah, one of them, right? Because there's certainly plenty that go the other way and arguing that Bitcoin might be in danger. So, we've talked about supply and exchanges. I've mentioned that the numbers here should be taken with a grain of salt, but the direction showing that Bitcoin and its supply and exchanges is still going down, this is still more or less accurate based on the data points that we do have on exchanges. So I like the look of the fact that BTC is continuously dropping, or at least staying very low as we head into the halving. Not a big uptick in BTC moving to exchanges, which would imply there's a planned sell-off. On top of that, USD Coin and Tether continue to rise in terms of their supply and exchanges, which is a good thing. That means there's more dry powder available to purchase more BTC or other assets whenever people would like to do so. We talk about weighted sentiment as I zoom in here again. More or less, it's neutral right now. You look at the sentiment, this is about on par with the standard deviation of how many positive versus negative comments and how much social volume is coming in related to BTC. If we look at the weekly perspective for social dominance, it's more or less neutral right now. So not quite as much Bitcoin talk as I would expect, if I'm being honest, but it's certainly not a deficit in discussion either. Funding rate wise, you do see that there's a slight bias toward longs forming once again. I would anticipate that's probably going to continue unless there's a big drop, which would imply that there's been some liquidations. Expect that this is going to stay slightly biased toward longing over this final week here, which is not great. We don't want to see a ton of this going on. This is how tops form, but at least it's not in that bright green territory that we saw right before the all-time high and then subsequent correction in the second week of March. I just posted this about an hour-ish ago. Let me show it on Twitter/X. So as we can see, the amount of Bitcoin wallets holding more than 0 coins is going up once again. It's actually increased by 370,000 BTC wallets just in the past 6 days. That's a pretty big 0.7% total rise in these types of wallets. So clearly more are being created right now, even though social dominance is fairly low toward BTC. So, you know, we look at the shark and whale wallets, they're not splitting and going into tiny wallets. It just appears that more Bitcoin wallets are starting to come back on, indicating there's a bit of confidence from traders, in my opinion, based on this metric. And I think it's important to monitor to see if, you know, we see a drop off again, which is usually a good thing. Prices go up when the small holders are capitulating and liquidating their wallets. And when the small wallets are going up, then it's more of a neutral or potentially negative result for Bitcoin historically. So I'd watch.
It's
this
actually
closely.
it's a good metric. It's one of those mentioned, which I will probably put into my Bitcoin halving research. I mean, research is too much. Okay, insight. Namely, behavior of small hodlers. If you go to Bitcoin, those charts, yeah, and then choose those holding 0.001, yeah, like 2 zeros, 1. This group. Nowadays, with the current price of Bitcoin, this is considered to be small hodler.
So all the way up.
No, not this one. This one no need.
Absolute.
Not absolute, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And not yeah, exactly. This one, yeah, exactly. Next one, yeah, and next one. Oh, they're increasing now. Okay, now it's getting dangerous. And then, of course, place Bitcoin price. You will see the point. Okay, and now we can increase. So the typical behavior after we reach the top, when I analyzed, I think last and before last tops, you need to change the groups because at that time it was 0, 1 to 1, and at least in the first top in 2013. It is the same. No. It depends which time frame. At the moment, this is a correct group. This is a small hodlers because it's from 600 to 6,000 in Bitcoin. I consider to be everything relative, but in terms of crypto portfolio, it's a small one. So the typical behavior, you see, they're selling a bit early and then feel FOMO and start increasing their position after the market declined. And I did not see that yet, but looks like, I did not check it the last few days. Now they start showing this behavior. This is the last few days. Small one and the second small one, and actually all three groups, they're increasing their holdings.
Yeah, we could even merge them and just look at them all together.
We can even merge them, yeah.
So to simplify,
as
price goes away.
Yes, you merged everything.
Wrong.
Is it merged?
There we go.
Yes.
Yeah, so they've collectively addresses with less than 0.1 BTC have collectively increased by 2,000. I think it's more than that. That's right. Just in the last 6 days, they've increased by 2,282.
Yeah.
Why is that so small? Oh no, that's how much they've accumulated. That's right.
So what I want to give for those who will be analyzing using our platform at home, just check in 21, both May and especially November, and then 17. I didn't check myself yet in 13, and the tops. How was behavior of small hodlers after reached the top and declined for some time? At some point, when it was decline and then recovery, you will see specific pattern. We might be repeating now. This actually, as it looks now, it adds to more to the negative outlook. I didn't see it 3 days ago. If you come back 3 days ago, you will see it was like flat line. Say, oh, that's good, that's good. They're not buying yet. It's a very good sign. But now they're for moving. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I know, brother Brian, it looks now more bearish than it looked 3 days ago. But okay.
Agreed.
It's always a game of two powers.
Yeah, it's interesting because the large ones are going up too right now. So I think the ones that are going down are in the middle.
Exactly, the large one going up, it's okay. It's a good sign as they move the price, and we want them normally see increase. But the small ones, that's not so.
Right. Okay. So the middle is red here. They're kind of flat, not a little bit down the last week. Yeah. And then the sharps and whales are kind of flat over the past week. Yeah, I mean, I guess we could take off the 10,000, make it a little more normal with what our normal analysis is. Yeah, they're going down a little bit, actually. So if you just look at 10 to 1,000, they've actually been going down quite a bit. So yeah, the argument is that this is kind of bearish right now, especially over the past week, like just since April 1st, if you look at it this way. Small holders are going way up, mid holders are kind of in the middle, and the large holders are definitely going down. So not ideal.
Yeah. In the bullish market, it's the other way around. Or let's say in the beginning, or in the beginning of a bullish market, it's a big one buying from small who are freaking out. And now it's anyway. We can observe a few more days. Mostly or let's say one of the purpose of the stream is just to share in the way how we approach, how we use the data. I mean, everyone at the end should come to its own conclusion, because also everyone has short, mid, long term, and you can use it to different degrees of in terms of time. All these metrics here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these streams are all about educating on how to use Santiment, as well as giving an update based on the top metrics that we like to follow. So, of course, use these streams how you will, and remember that we're always here on Discord and various other platforms, team@santiment.net, so you can get in touch with us, and we'll be happy to help and explain these further. But I wanted to also look at mean dollar invested age with you, Maxim. This is a popular long-term metric that we look at quite often internally.
Yes.
And of course, during the bull run, the average age of investments toward Bitcoin were dropping rapidly because older, stagnant wallets out there were moving their coins around at a very rapid pace. We went from an average of about 638 days of investments to down to 504 where we are now. And it's kind of been flat here in April. It's pretty much at the same levels as April 1st right now, 504 days. So according to this, the dormant circulation has more or less stopped, but it's also not quite climbing, which would be the bigger concern. It's just flat. It's hanging out as there's clearly a lot of uncertainty as to what people want to do during these final few days of the halving. So ideally, we'd want to see this drop continue downward, which would justify that we're still in a bull cycle. If it doesn't, if it stays flat, I would be a little bit nervous. And if it starts to climb, I'd be really nervous. Is that kind of how you're seeing this right now, Maxim? Brother Max, we may have lost you. Oh, there you are.
Not lost. I just was answering some questions.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, feel free to do so, and I'll just continue to talk about the metric here. But if we go back in time a little bit, if we go to, let's say, 2016 and onward, you'll see a very solid pattern here that correlates these drops in mean dollar invested age with these rises in Bitcoin's price and all of crypto markets price. Going to October 2020 and onward, you can see that's when the initial all-time high happened in April 2021. And then this was more of like a big red flag, right? Because dormant circulation had more or less stopped, and the average age began to rise again, indicating there was stagnancy on the network. But prices were just willed up to the then 68K or so all-time high, and then fell off a cliff due to lots of things: the FTX collapse, the Russia-Ukraine conflict. COVID was still a huge concern. And we then began to rise again, partly due to the makeup time from the suppression that FTX had caused in the markets, other reasons. But the mean dollar invested age wasn't really going down until October, November of 2023. And then we saw what happened once the whales began to circulate those older coins back into regular network circulation again. Now we're here and we're looking flat. It could potentially be the end, like we saw back in 2017 and 18, or right after the April 2021 all-time high. Or this could be a little blip, right? We saw this little flattening here, for example, in January of 2021, where it looked like it might be about to go back up, but no, it had a little bit more run in that. So the question now is, are we in a bit of a fake out stage here, or are we about to go back up? So we'll find out very soon. I would say right after the halving, that answer is going to be quite clear. So I can't wait to check in a week from now, the day of the halving. We'll be streaming right before the actual halving occurs. So it'll be an exciting live look at what's about to happen. Now, we also talked about the network realized profit loss that is going on. And Maxim can chime in on this too, but it's been more or less neutral for most of April. We have seen that the trend throughout this bull cycle, as you would imagine, is a lot of realized profits without a lot of realized losses to counter it. Generally, you want to see a healthy amount of realized losses, even when prices are climbing. To kind of
even realized profits is fine. I mean, but like lack of activity, this is a concern inside. I mean, there are enough people, organizational teams, treasuries, sitting on profits. They're not taking it now. Already for quite how many days they're not taking it? Like a week. And this is what concerns me. On the other side, it's actually also a good opportunity. So if they don't take it now, market with quite high probability will punish this behavior. It will go down, and we will see huge spikes. Some will take profits, some will take losses. I don't know what will be the average, but we will see transaction volumes likely and age consumed. And then that might be a good buying opportunity. Yeah? So I see risks now, but I see on the horizon the growing opportunities. Right now, I would not buy right now. This is not the moment when you would buy. Yeah, the moment you buy, you saw on 1st of April or around 1st of April, there was quite nice spikes. So the market declined a little bit, and they were April, like 10 days ago. Yeah, these spikes. Oh, that's good. Yeah. So someone say, okay, enough for me. I need to take profits. And why they did it? the field worries, market goes up. Now, we declined a little bit 3 days ago. Look what happened. Nothing. Doesn't look good. So it's as simple as that might be sometimes. So I'm at the moment, I would not buy.
Yeah, it does look a little bit dicey right now, according to this metric.
Sure. Unless our data pipeline is broken, but I think it's not.
I don't believe it is, no.
Yes.
I guess we can talk a little bit about the social side of things, and then maybe we can take a few questions here. Oh yeah, the ETF volumes. There we go. So they've been more or less pretty steady here in April. Certainly not quite at the crazy levels we saw in March, but I do want to note that the ETFs are alive and well, and we're seeing anywhere between 2.8 to maybe about 3.5 billion in volume per day on these ETFs, according to the top 7 ETFs that we track. Inflows and outflows have been about neutral for what it's worth. So remember, don't just look at the volumes. You got to understand how much is actually moving in or out of them. But they are healthy, and even though you haven't heard as much talk about them lately, they certainly are part of the ecosystem and creating new exposure opportunities for those who aren't traditionally in crypto and don't trust exchanges, things of that nature. But on to sentiment here. I had brought this chart up recently, and it's the overall amount of mentions across crypto platforms. And you can see that even though we hit all-time highs here around March 14th, the overall social volume is moving down. Even going into the halving, it's not enough of a topic to bring people back into crypto and have them conversate about the situation going on right now. So yeah, we're near an all-time high still, 4%-ish away, but the overall discussions are going down. You can see by platform, Telegram definitely declining, Reddit very much declining, Twitter/X, they're staying up there. They're kind of the exception to the rule. Plenty of discussion still on the biggest of these 5 platforms. 4chan definitely seeing a decline, weird little anomaly right here at the turn of the month. And Bitcoin talk has pretty much been declining since late January. So I find this quite interesting, despite the high prices. Once we started getting into this ranging period and the all-time high hit back on March 14th, people just became less and less interested in crypto overall. So that's all topics combined. And we can also look at the discussions related to the halving, which has just seen a new 2024 high in terms of social dominance. 1.61% of all discussions related to crypto have the mention of halving in them. That's quite gigantic. And you can see this is a topic that can very much shift the markets. This is a great example here. A few days after the all-time high, people started mentioning that the halving was only a month away, and then we see a turnaround. This one was more of like a euphoria mention of the halving, and then markets topped out temporarily. So I don't think this is really a price direction changer because markets have been ranging. They haven't really been moving way up or way down, but you'll see that the social dominance is probably going to continue to climb as we get into the final days and people start asking what the precise time is of the halving and whether this is a bullish or bearish event, which historically the answer is bullish, but you never know, right? We're basing the halving being a bullish event on really
exactly.
just three different.
You sum up it correctly. All this increased dominance and talks, they're bullish. I haven't seen yet talk about how as it is bearish or bearish, not bearish, as the bearish event. So this spike you can consider it as an increase of positive sentiment.
Exactly, and I just wanted to mention, when something has only really happened 3 times, since we're excluding 2008, 2012, 2016, and 2020, yes, prices went up significantly during those 3 years, but is 3 enough of a number for us to say definitively that every 4 years Bitcoin must go up because the mining difficulty becomes twice as difficult? I don't know the answer to that question. I think if we said
Correct.
no, we'd be going against the crowd.
Everyone should be like this, but this is very critical attitude. We don't know. What if after 3 times and a lot of professional players and algorithms, now majority of participants front running halving events. They say, okay, usually we grow during halving and after it, why don't we grow now? It's possible. Of course it's possible. And in the behavior analytics, we usually do alternation. If during the growth phase there was a correction which is sharp, short, and painful, we say, okay, in case we continue growth, the next correction will be long, boring, and non-eventful. It's like changing, because you expect things will happen exactly like it happened last time. Most of the time it does not. That's why investment is also very challenging and actually very difficult and painful for your emotion and brain, because you expect something based on the past and it doesn't happen. Opposite, to say, okay, maybe next time. No, again. And sometimes it does repeat. So you should be critical. If it happens 3 times, doesn't mean it will happen a 4th time. No.
Right. And I always refer people to what happened with the Ethereum merge. I remember we were in our Santiment team meetup in Turkey during this time, and there was a lot of discussion as to why prices were not going up for Ethereum going into this highly anticipated event that was supposed to be bullish. And the answer is because everybody was already bullish, and they were talking about the merge going back to like mid-June, and prices were going up significantly, even compared to Bitcoin. Ethereum was rising very, very rapidly, got all the way above 2,000 here in mid-August, and then it started to drop in the final month going into the merge. Now, of course, a merge is different than a halving, but both are similar in the respects that they are viewed as definitively bullish events that are supposed to increase the value of the respective asset. And that, of course, eventually happened right after this trail off from the price. It started to go up as markets went up after the FTX collapse, dust settled. But here you can see this is when it happened very clearly, and prices went down in the following weeks after this event. There was a slight tick up here, but really the top happened about a month before. And maybe that sounds familiar because that's exactly what's going on with the halving, at least for now. The top happened a month before, roughly 5 weeks before the big halving occurred. Maybe we'll see that the all-time high happen again, as the crowd is voting for right now. But this could be a repeat of what we saw with the merge, where the top happened, the halving occurs as expected, but the price performance is disappointing. People start to give up and say, oh, this halving was always so overhyped. And once they give up, that's when Bitcoin starts to take off to 80K, 90K, 100K, and beyond, that everyone is salivating over. So I think the psychology behind these big events that are noted as bullish definitively, it's just a fascinating topic. All right.
Oh, Brian, as we're talking about narrative and stories, can you share and repeat this thing we have? I think still quite unique part of platform, mostly unknown for our members of community. This bi-weekly or weekly updates to narratives, which our data science team is doing.
Sure. You're referring, just to be clear,
social trends, and
sure,
then the crypto narratives. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
I think they've been updated again. Just that you know that on Friday around morning US time and after lunch European time, we will update what have been the major topics during this week. And you can always double check and see, do you still remember what was the major topics? As our memory sometimes too focused, or our mind focused on something and we forgot other stuff. Here you will have very nice summary then by very smart people and advanced machines where everything is combined. These are the main topics. Nothing, I think, is missed. And yeah, we are doing better and better. Yeah.
It's improved a lot. So for those who thought it was a bit choppy before, I want to give a shout out to our great developers for improving this product. And you can see how quickly it just transitions now from one topic to the next. It's pretty snappy. I'm impressed with this a lot. So you can see the top two topics here, Max, and it's all about Bitcoin's price and Bitcoin and fiat, which are pretty similar topics, but you can see the AI explanations on both. You can see, less and less talk about Solana right now. AI
not surprisingly is declining.
Yep. AI is getting a little bit of a boost again, maybe for negative reasons, because we've seen the project actually decline quite a bit the last couple days. Art is a slight increasing topic. Meme coins, very little talk. You could tell just by looking at this chart when meme coins were thriving. This was when Dogecoin and Shiba were taking off again.
Just before we started declining again, yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
New topic, SAC and Uniswap, yeah. So you find everything here.
Exactly. And it's all AI generated, right? We don't have to, upgrade these topics ourselves. Not that we couldn't, but we want it to be as objective and precise as possible. And
it is objective. It's still curated in a sense. Sometimes there is a spammy or not very clear, but the data is processed, aggregated automatically.
Yeah. No, I think this
is a little bit of human attention.
Just new tools on the platform, and I really recommend you check it out. By the way, it's free. So even if you don't have a Sandbase Pro membership
it's free yet.
Yeah.
we just have not decided yet how to really move it painless into the paid part. So it's easier than, okay, we keep majority free. There will be time when it will be one way or another moved from free, but as long as it's not yet used.
Yeah, we'll put it this way. Enjoy it for free while you can. Consider it kind of in a alpha/beta stage still. And once we make it a perfected platform, it's probably going to be limited for Sandbase Pro members. So check it out. Let us know what you think. Your feedback is extremely valuable on this. So I personally love it and think it's only going to get better. But maybe with our final 5 to 10 minutes here, we could take a few questions, assuming there are some from our limited viewership that happened due to our own tech difficulties at the beginning of this call. But Bearish, if you see any, let us know what's out there. Okay. Haven't looked at ARB in a while. See what's going on here. So Arbitrum is our 33rd ranked asset. That's the lowest I've seen in a while. It was top 25 for a long time, but you can see when that started to change. March 8th here, a few days before Bitcoin's all-time high, it was sitting at $2.26. And since that time, this is going to be a heck of a drop. Yeah, it's down 39% over the past 5 weeks or so. And it looks like the network has been quite stagnant. I would imagine that the sentiment is going to be quite negative toward it. Let me just skip over to the social side really quick, and we'll check back in on a few more on-chains. So yeah, social volume and dominance, you can see how much it's really dropped off a cliff. And then weighted sentiment, just as I expected, way below the standard deviation, which is a very good sign. if you're bullish and thinking about buying into everyone else's pain right now, this is the lowest in a partial week, mind you, but this is the lowest sentiment we've seen, I would think, for the last year or so. Yeah, I mean, this is partially due to the low social volume in the partial week, but the ratio of negative versus positive sentiment is undoubtedly favoring negativity right now because it's been such an underperforming asset compared to the rest of the markets right now. And if we go back to some of the on-chains, some weird behavior going on. Daily active addresses were rising rapidly in late March and then fell off a cliff. Circulation, it's had its share of anomalies. I would mention that circulation is becoming more and more one of my key metrics I follow because it's a good price direction mover for a lot of altcoins out there that are outside the top 20 at least. And we do see that this latest circulation spike on April 7th pretty much perfectly timed the local top here. So if you see another circulation spike as the prices are falling, like we did here in November, that could be a good sign that prices are about to erupt again, as we saw between November and January. These 2 months were fantastic after this mini circulation spike. And then MVRV is going to be a very important one. I would ignore what was happening here. Let's go from here and beyond. So the 30-day MVRV, it's showing that average traders are down pretty significantly. Anyone that's been active in the past 30 days, their average return is negative 16.2%. That's considered an opportunity zone. The 365-day MVRV also just recently went into the negative. It's at about negative 4%. That's a good sign as well. If we go back to the past, there's a reason we weren't looking at the past year because there was some weird data there. But regardless, I like the look of this. I think in terms of buying into other traders' pain, this is the kind of asset you should be looking for because it is significantly down according to the average wallet out there, just like we saw with Uniswap. So there is an opportunity according to the just raw math of market value to realized value for the 33rd ranked asset right now. Whale transactions, pretty neutral, a little bit of an uptick yesterday. That could be a good sign considering it's happening as, you know, the price was already down 35% over the past month. In terms of average wallets, so the price is a little over $1. We can call these essentially the small wallets. These would be the mid wallets. And then the whales would be, sharks and whales would be anything above here. So in terms of just number of addresses, well, yeah, so this is a good sign as well. The 10,000 plus wallets, they've been growing rapidly, especially just in the last 4 days or so. Addresses with 10,000 or more are up 3.2% just in the past 4 days. I like the look of that a lot. So very solid sign there. I'll just also check the number of coins accumulated. $10K or above. Oh, wow. Maxim, if you're there, I want your opinion on this.
I'm here.
Yeah. So look at this big jump in coins accumulated. It could be related to just some new mints or something, but this is massive.
What's the price of Arbitrum coin now?
It's about $1.37.
Okay. And which group you selected?
I'll show you. So this is just all coins with are all wallets with 10,000 or more ARB in them. So roughly $14,000.
So usually I would split into two groups, 10 to 50,000. And then, okay, we cannot go to 50,000, let's say 100,000, and then 100,000 to infinity. Yes, so this separately. Okay, yes, that's typically it's more active group. And then the others maybe long-term hodlers or exchanges, or you never know. Okay, so, and then you see, yeah, they've been buying. Okay, so this active group typical behavior is they can buy the dip, but they are typically early to buy the dip. So you see this rapid increase on their buying pressure or desire to buy. It has to subside to become more flat. Like before this strong growth, there was this flat. So if we see this flat line one more time, especially on falling price, good. It looks not bad. It means there is buying power, but it can be wasted. Or let's say those with buying power, where is it coming from? They were successful in this bull market, so they believe in their knowledge, understanding the market, which of course they have. But this set of successes, which in the bull market easy, everyone is successful, a little bit blind, so they will be buying a bit too early. But if they believe in Orbitum good, this timing might be a bit too early. Give it 3 to 5 days.
Yeah, certainly fascinating nonetheless. I mean, this does appear to be one of the largest increases over a pretty long span of time here. Yeah, the last time we saw anything like this was mid-August of last year, and that did not, I mean, part of this was Bitcoin was struggling up until mid-October, but yeah, Arbitrum was actually dropping rapidly even after this accumulation. So maybe there's
it's not only accumulation. People write in our chat, which is correct on the stream. It's unlocks, and this increases the total supply. Actually, I think we do have metric. I'm not sure if we have it for Arbitrum, but generally we have total supply. And as someone says in the channel, only in DeFi bullish event unlock. Well, it is bullish event during the bullish phase of the market. Generally, it's not bullish.
Yeah. I do like the look of this. The $1 million invested age has been going down. Again, this is probably due to unlocks, seeing the nature of the choppiness, but that's at least something. Network realized profits. This is interesting. Even though the price has been falling off a cliff, you see these big realized profit spikes happening. So that's actually not the best sign. Social volume and dominance very low. Weighted sentiment, we touched on that. So yeah, I mean, Arbitrum seems to have some positive signs, especially with the sentiment being so negative right now, and the MVRV being in an opportunity zone. Hard to distinguish whether the unlocks are a positive for the price action coming up or not. But yeah, I think there's a reason to be bullish toward Arbitrum, and I appreciate the viewer who requested this one. But I think we're probably at that time, Maxim. Do you have any final words about the markets before we head into
the final words? Yeah, the summary. Yeah. You mean summary? So the final summary is there are signs to be hopeful. Halving, of course, but also not extremely active behavior of small hodlers, even though it's a little bit gone in Bitcoin. But we need to see spikes in realized profit loss, some signs of worries. Unless you can consider the gods of crypto see the sacrifice. Someone sells the lows, it will not grow, or it might grow with difficulties. So wait and check for spikes in network or less profit loss, or spikes in what you showed in percentage deposit addresses and daily active addresses. It means someone finally said, okay, we need to move to exchanges. This is related to RC20. Or we didn't show today, but if you're not the first time on our stream, you know we like to observe liquidations or repayments on decentralized lending protocols. It's also important if it happens. This will be a very good sign. Especially now, I think people are quite leveraged and borrowed on stables just to participate in the tenor. On the other side, I think, okay, without complication, because the tenor is a separate topic, and actually now it's a game of rep Bitcoin there, I think. Only the first part. Need to see some negativity in terms of on-chain, or ideally also like in talks. And then we can grow nicely. And by the way, Brian, that brings me for this summary. Let's publish over the weekend question. What do you think will happen? We'll make a new high somewhere around halving, or that's it? We only go lower from the current level. The high was already pre-run. Okay, maybe formulate like this, yeah. Do you think the typical market high was pre-run this time or not? Something like this.
Gotcha. Yeah, can do.
Be interesting what people think.
I think so. And my suggestion is just to not overreact for those watching. You're going to see a few big swings before the halving, and most people regret getting too invested with any short-term swing out there. It's the big ones that you should be paying attention to. Try to avoid the noise of, Bitcoin going from 69 to 71K, and instead make incremental changes to your portfolio when it goes from 69 to 62 or 69 to 77. Those are the times where the more professional traders tend to take advantage of the markets and make profitable decisions. And you're going to see a lot of mini or even mid-sized swings in this final week as there's push and pull as to how bullish the halving event should be at this point. So with that said, I want to thank Maxim for the great productive call today. It was fantastic to hear your thoughts about the markets. As always, Maxim. Max Balresh, thank you for getting this stream up and running and finding some workarounds. I know it's been a challenge after some software issues, but we did it. We recorded a stream that many of you are now watching on replay here. And I want to thank you all for the continued support of Santiment. If you like supporting us more tangibly, give us a little thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed. It helps us a ton with the algorithm to continue to grow and spread the word about these awesome metrics. So with that said, have a wonderful weekend, guys, and we will talk to you the day of the halving. Can't wait for it. Take care, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Take care, everyone. Talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.